So thus far, the the explanation of the storyline of the past seven parshiot, a spiritual, symbolic idea relevant to our lives from the previous parsha. Now let's move with lightning speed to the current parsha, Pinchas, which begins speaking about the reward which Pinchas receives for being zealous in maintaining the integrity of the Jewish people. In a second part of the parsha, we have a very interesting section wherein God instructs Moshe how the land of Israel will be apportioned between the tribes. The land of Israel, called in the Hebrew Eretz Yisrael, the word Eretz also has as its root Ratz, and indeed, in a kind of a pun, the Midrash says it is a land Sheratz Lasot Ritzon Kono. Two plays on words, that it runs, Ratz means to run, and Ratzon means will, the land that rushes to fulfill the will of its creator. And of course, Eretz Yisrael is the Holy Land, and so it really embodies the whole idea of the spiritual becoming infused in the physical, because we not only have spiritual concept, we have one land which is holier than others, and that land itself there will be one edifice, a building, a temple which will be holier than others. And this hierarchy is important in order to make spirituality a reality in the physical world. And therefore, we are going to allow ourselves to assume that, in a sense, on a metaphoric level, the process as to how the land of Israel is apportioned to the incoming tribes, which is not going to happen imminently, but God is explaining how it happens now, is also going to tell us something about our relationship to our fulfillment of the commandments, our study of Torah, our service to God. So we find, actually, very interestingly, three distinct concepts in the division of Israel. We have these tribes, some have more people, some have less. In the very beginning, the Torah says that the land will be divided to chalek haaretz, chelek. Chelek is a portion. How is it done? Very simply, it says the more populous tribes will get bigger parts of land, and the less populous will get less. So it's a very rational process. We then find that this rational process is how each tribe will receive what the Torah refers to as its nachala. Nachala means inheritance. Now, the use of this word introduces a whole new concept. They're inheriting the land. It's something from the time of Abraham that we were told that we're going to get. But inheritance has a very different kind of nuance to it. Inheritance is not something purely logical. A baby gets an inheritance. He doesn't know what to do with it. He didn't earn it. So there is a disconnect there. But in addition to that, we find strangely that we are told that Begoral, there will be a goral with a lot, casting of lots. There will also play a role in how Israel is divided. Now, lots, a goral, a jreb in Slovak or los, is clearly not a rational process. It's something which is the luck of the draw, as we say in English. And indeed, the commentaries struggle to understand how that is reconciled with the previously mentioned rational process of giving the more populous tribes greater portions. They do manage to do that. The mechanism as to how that is done is beyond the limits of this short lecture. But nonetheless, we find a rational aspect of apportioning the land. We find a non-rational one, the goral, the casting of lots. And finally, we have all of this being described as how the individual tribes receive their nachla, their inheritance. And indeed, these three ideas of chelek, which means our portion, goral, which means a lot, a lottery, and inheritance, nachla, whereas it's also called Yerusha, also form three parts of a beautiful part of the liturgy, which has been put to many different beautiful melodies. Ashrenu, Matov Chalkenu, Ma'anayim Goralenu, Ma'yafa Yerushatenu. How fortunate are we? How good is our portion? How pleasant is our lot? And how beautiful is our inheritance? And as I hope to explain now briefly, how each of these three things represent vital parts of our relationship to God, to the Torah, and God's relationship to us. First of all, there's a rational level. We have discussed aspects of this before. What when we make a choice between two things, it's a very, seemingly a very fairly simple, not always short, not always easy, but fairly simple idea. We evaluate, and we look at the attributes of the two things from which we're choosing. The one that seems to more serve the purpose of what we need to do is the one that is chosen. So we call that a free choice. On a purely human level, it is a free choice, but it's not the true aspect of choice and freedom in the spiritual sense. Why? Because it's not me choosing something. Its quality is, in a sense, compelling a certain kind of choice. A good car and a bad car, as a simple explanation, the good car, its qualities are bringing me to that choice. Now, very often the examples are more subtle. But either way, there are two things. The choice is being, in a sense, determined by the attributes of the thing. So in rationality, that's how it is. Because of a shortage of time, let's bring it right to the thing. Shabbat, what a great idea. We're going to rest one day. It's so much better than working 7 days a week. And what a beautiful idea. And we can have family time. We'll make kiddush. And right away, the person sees the good and makes this rational choice. He embraces the idea of Shabbat because of its beautiful attributes. What is Goral? Goral is, I don't know which to choose. Goral, a lot, means I have to flip a coin. So in the human sense, there really are no differences between the two things. In our sense, when we embrace something which is correct, or we grasp our tradition, but it's not based on a logical determination. So the two choices that we face, doing the thing or not doing the thing, don't seem so obvious. That could be the person, for example, who is running a great business and selling every Saturday, having tons of customers and so on. And for him, he sees that as one aspect of it. This is his livelihood. Shabbat seems nice. There's kind of a toss-up here. When this person says, I'm going to keep Shabbat, he doesn't do it because it's a chelik. He doesn't do it because of the rational aspect of it. He does it because there's something deeper within him that brings him to that. He looks at the two choices as being equal. For him, it's a challenge. It's a test. And he passes this test because the goral, the aspect of lot, comes from a deeper level of the soul. And it's very important because if we limit our choices and our devotion to tradition and to the Torah and to God based only on rationalistic considerations, there are times when there is, as we say, darkness. This is the idea of exile, when those qualities are not immediately apparent. And those who are basically only rationalistic will abandon faith. And Judaism could not have survived throughout the millennia based on that way of doing it. On the other hand, the idea of Goro, the person who sees two options there, not keeping tradition also seems like an option. And on the contrary, so many times there's difficult situations we face where it seems daunting to keep the Torah and to keep the mitzvahs. That's where Goral kicks in and says, but this is our Goral, this is our lot. Even when we don't see this and this seem to have equal value to them, we embrace the correct thing because there's something deeper within us which says our attachment is something which is beyond pure ration. Now, inheritance is something else. Inheritance is typically somebody dies, that person's property goes to the child, to the heir. The heir didn't do anything to earn it. The heir, in fact, in Jewish thought, does not do something active anyway. He actually is replacing the original owner, and hence the inherited property belongs to him automatically. And why does he get it? He doesn't choose it. He doesn't see the qualities in the inheritance over things that are not an inheritance. Nor is he drawn to it by some illogical, non-rational or super-rational force. He receives it because of who he is. And so too, when we look at Torah as inheritance, this is in fact the deepest level. This is the person who doesn't see two choices. Not keeping Shabbat is not an option. A person reaches a level where it has to be this way. And yet we see these people are doing what they're doing very willingly. So what kind of a choice are they making? Well, we typically look at choice as being between two different things. But Hasidus explains that the essence of choice is not feeling coerced. And when we reach a stage where the essence of our soul is revealed, we feel attachment and we feel a sense of being attached to God, well, on that level, surely the soul is not going to consider doing things against God's will. So there are no two things here. And yet, his desire to fulfill God's will is wholehearted, and hence it's not a function of coercion, and hence it is considered a really true choice, because it is a function of not the qualities of the thing that he's choosing. It's not only a function of some inner force which says, let me choose this, but at such a high and profound level of the individual, where there is only one option on that level, and his embracing of that aspect of that commandment, for example, is nothing more than an expression of who he is as a person. And that is the lesson we can derive from the apportioning of the land as explained in this week's parsha of Pinchas. Shabbat Shalom.